On the 11th day of World Cup, Belgium still hasn't won. Welcome to the desk. My name is Tunde Young. Belgium still yet to win. Spain finally joined the party. Lamine Yamal shining on World Cup debut. Egypt finally have their first World Cup win, and Cape Verde continue to impress. Welcome to the desk once again. All of this and more, we're about to get right into it. Day 11 of the World Cup was hot and cold. Belgium, Iran, probably the worst game of football at this World Cup so far. Not just because it ended goalless, just because there was a obvious lack of quality on both sides. The only quality was in goal for Iran. We'll get into the day. But the day started with Spain, 5 p.m. kickoff in Nigeria, West African time. Spain 4-0 win against Saudi Arabia, light work, 3-0 early on. And from then they kind of just went downhill. They went into they never left gear one. They never left gear one. It's Spain against Saudi Arabia. Of course, they were always going to cruise, especially after the disappointing performance against Cape Verde. Lamine Yamal, first World Cup start, and he pretty much did what you would expect Lamine Yamal to do against Saudi Arabia. The phenomenal first 45 minutes, 52 touches, 29 out of his 32 passes attempted were successful. 4 touches in the opposition box, 3 of his duels were won. One possession 3 times, 2 of his 5 shots were on target. He completed his 2 take-ons. He created 1 chance. He scored 1 goal. So his first World Cup goal. So congratulations to the young man who a lot of people have put expectations up on his shoulders for this World Cup. In fact, I've gone as far as saying if Spain are going to do anything at this World Cup, they would have to do it with Lamine Yamal at his very best, because without him, other than him, this team does not look like they have a lot of quality. I'm just going to straight up say this Spain team might be worse than Barcelona, and that's saying a lot, because also Barcelona are a very, very Lamine dependent team, but Spain might be worse than them in that regard. Yeah, as good a performance as that was for Lamine, he wasn't the man of the match. Mikel Oyarzabal was 2 goals and an assist for Oyarzabal in that game. After, in stark contrast to his woeful performance against Cape Verde, where he failed to touch the ball in the first 30 minutes. This time around, the first 30 minutes, he was already involved in all 3 goals by scoring twice and assisting 1. So Spain picked up a light win in that one. Next up, we saw what I already described as possibly the worst game of the tournament so far. Belgium and Iran. Please. Belgium were reduced to 10 men in the second half, but it didn't really do much. All this game indicated to me, and I already noticed it from the Egypt game, because I'm going to be honest, I don't watch the Nations League or European qualifiers like that. So it didn't really dawn on me how done Belgium are. And this World Cup has really, 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 really been the revelation for me. Like, I knew they were past their best. I knew that golden generation was over. Hazard was retired, has been retired for a while. His company has been retired. KDB, I knew he was no longer prime KDB. I knew Lukaku was no longer at his best. But I still saw that they still had some quality left. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, Belgium's golden generation is well and truly done. It is over with. The only remnant of that is probably Thibaut Courtois. Thibaut Courtois, who plays like he still has 5 more good seasons in him. He plays like his best season is still ahead of him. Other than him, this is over. Outstanding. What a run you guys had. But it's over and done with. Romelu Lukaku in 2026, in that game yesterday, Romelu Lukaku is heavier than ever. And the main criticism of Lukaku, even during his prime, was always that he was too heavy. He's even heavier than Lukaku is basically me. Lukaku is my size. His touch is even more clunky than usual. He can't make runs in behind defenders anymore because he no longer has the legs. Too heavy to jump. When the ball even comes down to his level, he can't connect the header. It was a shocking revelation to me that Lukaku was this washed. I did not expect it. Perhaps even worse, Kevin De Bruyne, who very recently was still talking stuff about his promises were made to him at Napoli that were not kept and whatnot. and I mistook that for him still being able to play at a very high level. Yeah, he has his own moments. Even during the game against Iran, he had moments. He created that chance that the goalkeeper could have scored, but the goalkeeper saved. But generally, KDB needs 3 more touches than usual to get the ball under his full control. He needs to look at the ball, then look forward to his opponent, then look to his surroundings before picking a pass. This happened multiple times against Iran. He's no longer as sharp. It's no longer as instinctive as it used to be. Now he needs several touches to set himself. Against Egypt, the normal KDB would probably have scored a hat-trick because he got into the areas that he loves, just at the edge of the box and with the ball. That you know that is prime KDB territory. He's going to hit that pile driver, rockets on the grass into the back of the net. He had that chance 3-4 times against Egypt, did not even come close a single one, apart from the free kick that hit the bar. Against Iran, probably even worse than it was against Egypt. Could not pick out passes that he usually does. Like I already mentioned, he looked like he had to think about what he wanted to do way more than KDB usually has to think. I did not think that I would watch a Belgium game with KDB in midfield and Tielemans by far the best midfielder on the pitch by a distance. Thomas Meunier no longer has pace. He used to be known as a marauding offensive fullback that could not defend. Now he's no longer a marauding offensive fullback, and he still cannot defend. It's done, yo. It's done. Both of their center backs I don't even recognize. Ngoy and Mekele. Who are these people? Maxim the Kuiper plays for Brighton, but so they are done. Belgium's golden generation is done. I think we should just appreciate them for what it was. Before I started watching football, before my time, Belgium were not a great team either. So we were just able to be lucky that their period of peak talent happened to be in our lifetime. That is over. It's over. That's all we can say. Courtois, the last of the Mohicans in that regard. But still sticking with Belgium, perhaps the only offensive threats that they have right now, Jeremy Doku, was not even available last night because of I think he had a respiratory illness or something, but he was sick. But a lot of the conversation has happened this entire week, World Cup related, has somehow been about Jeremy Doku's potential absence from the FIFA World Cup. And this is based on the fact that his wife or spouse, significant other, is currently pregnant, and the due date is going to be somewhere. It's going to be during the World Cup, somewhat further down the line, probably a quarterfinal or semi-final, but it's going to be during the World Cup. And Doku was asked about it, and he said rather innocently and should be rather uncontroversially that he would like to be there with his significant other for the birth of his first child. Tell me why this has turned out to be one of the most controversial and divisive statements ever made. Because when you say things like this, deadbeats get in their feelings. If you have a penchant for abandoning your kids, or you don't see childbirth as important, this is probably the time to turn off this video, because I'm about to go to work. Jeremy Doku could potentially leave Belgium's World Cup camp to be present for the birth of his son, and the debate has exploded across Europe. I'm going to read the particular reactions of one specific person who disgusts me. French journalist France Pierron didn't hold back. According to Pierron, this is a direct quote. Are you seriously telling me these players have sacrificed everything to come to the World Cup, and you are leaving to just cut an umbilical cord? You are lucky enough to play in a World Cup. It's an incredible privilege, and hundreds of footballers would do anything to be in your position. That opportunity might never come around again in your life. Are you going to throw it all away just to attend your child's birth? These are real questions from a real person. She continues. It's a moment where the father isn't really needed. He has a symbolic role. You hold a hand and take a photo, and then what? You are going to miss 10 hours, experience an emotional high, and be exhausted afterwards. You can't miss a World Cup. Some people may have gone into debt just to get to the World Cup. Maybe sacrifice everything to be there, and you are living just to cut an umbilical cord. That is the reaction of a real-life human being, not AI, a real-life human being who, number two, is a woman. Not that it would mean anything less if it came from a man, but I feel like I had to say that. And he's a journalist. He's supposed to be an educated person, supposed to be a respected person in the community, but spewed some of the dumbest statements ever compiled together, some of the worst things that has ever been said. First of all, Jeremy Doku choosing to attend his childbirth over Belgium's World Cup ambitions is a personal decision that he has a right to. Doku was missing against Iran, and they didn't win that game because he had an illness. Nobody died. And by the way, Belgium are not even making it to the quarterfinal or semifinal. So this is not even going to be an issue. But let us discuss the theoretical part of it. Why does somebody wanting to be present for the birth of their child, why does it affect you so much? You need to look inward and ask, why does it affect you so much? And reducing the birth of somebody's first child to just cutting an umbilical cord is as stupid as it gets. Maybe somebody should not have cut your own umbilical cord if we want to get graphic, because we need less stupid people like this in the world. We need less inconsiderate, mouth-breathing dummies in the world. The world could use less of people like this. I hate people like this. People who project their useless upbringing, their rubbish childhoods on others. Who gives a shit about your opinion about what somebody wants to do on the birth of their first child? It is asinine to even think like this. And to think that there are people defending this online too. This is one of those situations where there is no right or wrong decision. There's no right or wrong decision. If Doku doesn't go be with his wife during childbirth, I don't think anybody can call him a deadbeat or unsupportive, because they realize he's at work at the moment. The time is just, and it's two completely different sides of the world: the United States and Belgium, Central Europe. So it's two completely different sides of the world. He does have a convenient excuse to not be there, but it's also one of those where if he decides to go be there, you don't have a right to shit on his decision, because who are you? If he decides to go be with his wife, who are you? Childbirth is notoriously dangerous for carriers of pregnancies. God forbid, of course, we hope that both Doku, his wife, and the child are fantastic, fine, everybody's safe. But what if she doesn't survive it and he misses a chance to be with his wife for one last time? Like, I don't even want to, we don't even have to get that extreme. Just off the simple premise of, I want to be with my wife while she's giving birth to my first son. Why is that controversial? A lot of you have problems. A lot of you should be buried under the prison, including this idiot whose statement I just read. I'm going to move on now because this is starting to get to me a little bit more than I planned. So, Jeremy Doku, go do what you feel is better. There's no wrong decision here. There's no the only wrong decision will be to allow the stupid public bully you into doing what you didn't want to do. So if you originally wanted to go and then you now change your mind to stay back because of the reaction, that would be a wrong decision. If you originally didn't plan to go and then you are now choosing to go because of what everybody says, that would also be the wrong decision. The only right decision is to do whatever you want to do in this situation. There's no wrong decision, whatever. And everybody else that is affected by this, I hope you find healing, because you are clearly deranged. Moving on, the African teams showed out on day 11. African teams put themselves in a great position on day 11. Two fantastic results. Cape Verde, once again, Cape Verde. On yesterday's episode on day 10 review and day 11 preview, I talked about how Cape Verde really have two options. Because you already picked up a draw in your most difficult game. This is your second most difficult game. Do you go for another draw and then bet it all on the line that you will beat Saudi Arabia in the last game to qualify? Or do you go all out for a win here and just try to seal it now? They went for a win. They didn't get it, but at least they went for it. 2-2 it ended, I would say, in favor of Cape Verde, because Uruguay's last game is against Spain, and Uruguay have 2 points. So Uruguay absolutely have to beat Spain to qualify. That is not a good situation to be in. That's not a good situation to be in, especially considering the fact that Spain are not safe either yet. If Spain had beaten Cape Verde in the first game and they have 6 points and they are through to the next round going into the Uruguay game, that would be different. But Spain have 4 points. Uruguay have 2 points. Spain have to not lose against Uruguay. Spain can't afford to lose to Uruguay. Uruguay, a draw might not be enough against Spain. Uruguay have to win against Spain. That puts Cape Verde in a fantastic position. Fantastic position. You go into the last game against the Saudi Arabia team, who you are quite frankly better than as Cape Verde. Number 2, they have 1 point, you have 2. They are playing for a win, you can play for a draw. But ideally, you should not even be playing for a draw. You should be playing to beat Saudi Arabia, which because you can, it's doable. You can actually finish second in this group as opposed to qualifying as a very good third place team, which is what I thought they were going to do. Even in my wildest dreams, in my wildest imagination, I did not think Cape Verde had it in them to finish second in this group. But depending on how things shake out, they might even finish first. If Uruguay and Spain draw, Spain have 5 points. It depends. Now it comes down to how well Cape Verde can beat Saudi Arabia. If they can outdo Spain's result against Saudi Arabia, then they finish top because of goal difference. The head-to-head is balanced, so they have to use goal difference. It's set up very, very tantalizingly in Group H. I'm rooting for Cabo Verde. Because they are such a vibes team. They have audacity. They don't have the quality, but they have the audacity that I wish Ivory Coast had, because Ivory Coast do have the quality. You see, that's the African conundrum here. That's the problem here. Cape Verde, their long distance shots. I wish they would try to break down their opponents way more. I wish they don't get as excited as they do whenever they come within 40 yards of the goalpost. But if you can score the free kick the way Cape Verde scored that, then you can't really say anything to them. What a fantastic free kick. I don't know if they've done the measurements yet. Kevin Pena, who was the man of the match in that game, I don't know if they've done the measurements yet, but that free kick it's a goal of the tournament contender. The free kick I remember being that far out again was Cristiano Ronaldo against Arsenal, I think in 2009, the Champions League quarterfinal game, where the commentator famously said, "This is too far out for Ronaldo," and Ronaldo just shot from there, and Almunia goofed, and the ball went in. Well, this time around, it was Kevin Pena with the shot, and Fernando Muslera with the goof. Fernando Muslera, I have to say, goalkeepers usually have a longer shelf life than outfielders. So I'm assuming that's why he's still Uruguay's number 1. But Muslera has been around for quite a while. Quite a while he's been around. 40 years old now. And of blessed memory, he is absolutely done. Being done. Done. I cannot believe Fernando Muslera is still Uruguay's number 1 goalkeeper in 2026. Should not be considering that free kick. And he was complicit in the second goal as well. Basically cost Uruguay qualifications to the next round, because I don't see how Uruguay pick up more than 3 points in this game. I don't even think they will pick up 2 points. I think Spain is going to beat them in the final group game. But Group H is set up tantalizingly. Saudi Arabia, painfully bereft of quality, which makes you wonder how they were even able to draw Uruguay in the first place. I don't think that they will be able to do the same thing against Cape Verde, but we shall see, shan't we? As we move on to Egypt. The Egyptians you see today, you shall see them once again in the quarterfinal or in the round of 32. I beg your pardon. I was jumping the gun. Or maybe that's a prediction. Who knows? Egypt finally have won a World Cup game. The Egyptian national football team have won a World Cup game. This is not a drill. The Pharaohs of Egypt, the original local champions, the dominant in Africa but docile in the world stage, those guys have finally won a World Cup game. Wow, impressive. By the way, Egypt were in the second World Cup ever, 1934, did not win a single game. Even though that was a knockout, it was a knockout format, so they started in the round of 16 and lost their first game, and that was it. Did not qualify again until 1990. crashed out in the group stages, did not win a single game, only picked up a point. Did not qualify again until 2018, crashed out in the group stages, did not win a single game, did not even pick up a point. But they scored 2 goals on that in that occasion. Did not qualify again until 2026, and now they finally won a game. They drew the first game against Belgium. They've won the second game against New Zealand, and now they will go into the final game against Iran, knowing fully well that right now they've probably even already qualified, but knowing fully well that a draw seals their qualification. A win against Iran, which is very doable, a win against Iran sets them as the group winners over Belgium. Impressive stuff. Impressive stuff. Because Belgium will most likely still win against New Zealand. I know they've said they are bad, but they're not bad enough to not beat New Zealand. Yeah, sure, they dropped points against Egypt and Iran, but it's New Zealand in the final game. I think Belgium will do that in Group G. So that's what happened in match day 11 of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Shout out to Mo Salah for getting on the score sheet for Belgium. Let's see what we got going on. By the way, today is the anniversary of the hand of God. Right? On this day in 1996, Diego Maradona scored the infamous hand of God goal for Argentina as they eliminated England from the World Cup. 1986, I beg your pardon, 1986. It's a World Cup for goalkeepers. It's been a World Cup for goalkeepers. Iran's goalkeeper against Belgium joins the list again. We saw Alois for Saudi Arabia in the first game against Uruguay, make save after save. Of course, the most popular one, Virginia for Cape Verde against Spain. Patrick Beach for Australia against Turkey. We've seen quite a few. I feel like I'm missing a very, very big one. It will come to me. Yeah, Curacao, a Roy Room against Ecuador. So we've seen goalkeepers show up and show out at this Mundial. And Iranian goalkeeper Alizera Berenvald joins the list. He faced 23 shots against Belgium on Sunday night. He made 11 accurate long balls. He made 7 saves, 3 high claims, 2 ground duels won, and 1.7 goals prevented, including a save of the tournament contender out of nothing, denying Maxim de Kuiper to keep the game goalless and keep Iran with a chance to qualify going into the last game against Egypt. Very, very impressive stuff. Very, very impressive stuff. I have to give it up to the man. He won the Man of the Match award, needless to say. It's also been a World Cup for own goals. We are not even through the second round of games yet. Granted, there are way more games at this World Cup than any other World Cup. But the fact that we are still in the group stage second round, and this is already the second most amount of own goals in a World Cup tournament, is crazy. There are already 8 own goals at this tournament. 8. There were only 2 in the last World Cup in Qatar. The record for most own goals at a single World Cup was in Russia 2018. There were 12 own goals in that tournament. So 4 more own goals between now and mid-July when the tournament ends, which is still a long, long time. And I think that record will be breaking. 4 more, the record will be tied. 5 more, the record will be broken. There are lots of ungoalable teams, if I can put it that way. Yeah. All right. More records. Cape Verde are the first team on record to score their first FIFA World Cup goal from a direct free kick since 1966. So Kevin Peña's direct free kick was Cape Verde's first ever World Cup goal, wildly celebrated and rightly so. So let's focus on the event's potential activity of day 12. France and Argentina look set for easy wins. France will take on Iraq in the first game of the day, if I'm not mistaken. Let me confirm that right quick. France, Iraq is the 10 p.m. kickoff, so it's not the first game. Argentina, Austria is the first game of the day. 6 p.m. Nigerian and African time, West African time. Argentina should beat Austria and seal their place in the next round. Austria kind of struggled against Jordan. Actually, they just won regardless because they have better players. But I don't think Austria have enough to bother Argentina tonight. Argentina should win. Will Messi be able to do another hat-trick? I don't know. He was basically playing against Algeria by himself. Maybe we'll finally get some help from his teammates this time. Will Lautaro Martinez start again ahead of Julian Alvarez? Scaloni seems to have a love affair with Lautaro Martinez. We'll find out by 6 p.m. Nigerian time. And then after that, there's a 2 hour. I hate these 2 hour breaks between games so much. Kick off 6 p.m. Game ends 8 p.m. Why is the next game kicking off by 10? So France Iraq by 10. Of course, we'll still watch that because Kylian Mbappe also looking to chase down Messi on the Golden Boot standings. So looking forward to that. France look like they should be able to wall up Iraq. Iraq lost 4-1 to Norway. You expect France to do the business. Norway versus Senegal by 1 a.m. right after that. So that for me, that's the game of the day. For me, because it's make or break for Senegal's ambitions. Make or break. If you somehow lose this game, you are guaranteed out. Because 3 points is most likely not going to be enough. Even as a third place team, it's most likely not going to be enough. A draw in this game keeps your hopes alive. And then you have to beat Iraq in the last game. That's from Senegal's perspective. A win in this game re-establish order and let everybody know, okay, yeah, France was better than us, but we are still a solid contender in this World Cup. And that's what I expect from Senegal. Play for a win, get a draw at worst. Play for a win, settle for a draw at the very least. Do not lose to Norway tonight. Do not lose to Norway tonight. Norway come in with less pressure. They started against Iraq, so they already picked up 3 points. But Norway also know that they can't afford to lose because their last game is against France. And they will most likely lose to France, depending on whether or not France will need the game. But they will most likely lose to France. So this game is very pivotal for both teams. I think it's going to be one of the games of the tournament. In fact, I cannot wait. I think it's two teams that are balanced in terms of quality. If I had to give it to one team overall, I'd say Senegal probably, in my opinion, are more favorites, even though the bookies disagree. That's just an African thing. I'm looking forward to what Senegal are going to do against Norway tonight. Time for them to finally click their tournament into gear. If they lose, it's going to be a disappointing end to a tournament. It's going to be lots of what could have been. What could have been. Speaking of another potentially good game that nobody will most likely be watching, because Jordan and Algeria will kick off by 4 a.m. Nigerian time, at the time where people that work on the island are already going to the office. I'll be sound asleep, I can assure you. But I like what I saw from Jordan the last time out. Jordan against Austria, they gave a good account of themselves. And they are a fun team to watch. Made the Asian Cup final, even though they lost to Qatar. A fun team to watch. Algeria, on the other hand, dull as dirt. Dull as dirt. But I'm going to be rooting for the African team to pick up 3 points. If they want to have any strand of hope to qualify from this group, which I don't think they will, but if they want to, they absolutely have to beat Jordan. Absolutely have to beat Jordan and then hope for the best in the last game against Austria. Maybe a draw would do. Yeah, that's the end of my rundown. Can Senegal or Algeria finally get going? Let me know what you think in the comments. And once again, thank you very much for keeping me going. Day 11 review, day 12 preview. This is the 11th video on the 11th day of the World Cup. We've been consistent so far. Thank you very much for keeping me going. My name is Tunde Young. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.